Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the stars drift past the main viewport. The ship had been on patrol for 3 weeks now, and the crew was getting restless. Nothing ever happened out here in the outer territories. Most days were just routine scans and equipment checks. "Captain, I'm picking up something on long-range sensors," Lieutenant Amy Chen called out from the tactical station. Her voice had an edge to it that made Jake's stomach tighten. "What is it?" Jake walked over to her station and looked at the display screen. "Multiple contacts, sir, big ones. They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel about 2 million kilometers ahead of us." Amy's fingers moved quickly across her controls, trying to get a clearer reading. Jake felt his pulse quicken. 2 million kilometers was close. Too close. How many ships are we talking about? 15, maybe 20. The sensors are having trouble getting an exact count. They're using some kind of jamming technology. Amy looked up at him and he could see the concern in her eyes. "Captain, the energy signatures match Krell warships." The bridge went silent. Every crew member had heard stories about the Krell. They were the nightmare that kept other species awake at night. For thousands of years, the Krell had ruled the galaxy through fear and superior technology. No one had ever beaten them in a straight fight. Sound general quarters. Get everyone to battle stations. Jake kept his voice calm, but his mind was racing. The Defiant was a good ship with a trained crew, but they were one vessel against a Krell fleet. "Ben, I need every ounce of power you can give me. We might need to run." Down in engineering, Ben Carter heard the alarm and immediately started routing power to the engines. He was a tall man with grease permanently stained under his fingernails from years of working on ship systems. "You heard the captain," he shouted to his team. "I want the reactor at maximum output. Check all the power conduits and make sure nothing is going to blow when we push this ship hard." His second engineer, a young woman named Lisa Hayes, ran to the main control panel. "Ben, the quantum biological core is still running that test cycle you started this morning." "Should I shut it down?" Ben hesitated. The quantum biological core was new technology, barely tested. It combined organic neural tissue with quantum computers to create a system that could learn and adapt. The brass had installed it on the Defiant as an experiment. Ben had been running tests to see if it could improve the ship's response time in combat situations. "Leave it running," Ben decided. "We might need every advantage we can get. Just keep an eye on it." Back on the bridge, the Krell fleet was getting closer. Jake could see them now on the main screen, dark shapes against the stars. Their ships looked like nothing human engineers would design, all sharp angles and strange curves that hurt the eyes to look at too long. "They're hailing us," Amy said. "Put it through." The screen flickered and showed a Krell commander. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin and eyes that had no pupils. When it spoke, the translator made its voice sound flat and emotionless. "Human vessel, you have entered Krell space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance is futile. We have already won." Jake clenched his jaw. "This is Captain Morrison of the human ship Defiant. These are not Krell territories. This is neutral space under the Treaty of Proxima. You have no authority here." The Krell commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Treaties are words. Words mean nothing. We are the Krell. We take what we want. Your ship will be ours or it will be debris. Choose quickly." The transmission cut off. Jake turned to Amy. "Tactical options?" Amy shook her head. "Not good, sir. They have us surrounded. If we try to run, they'll cut us off before we can jump to faster than light speed. If we fight, we're outnumbered 20 to 1. Then we fight and run at the same time. Plot a course through their formation. We'll blow through them and jump to light speed on the other side." "Yes, sir." Amy started working on the navigation solution. Jake opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to engage a Krell fleet. I won't lie to you. The odds are bad. But we're human and humans don't give up. We don't surrender, we fight. Every one of you knows your job. Do it well, and we'll get through this together. Morrison out." He closed the channel and took a deep breath. "Helm, execute the attack run on my mark." The Defiant surged forward, its engines burning bright. The human ship was fast and agile, dancing between the larger Krell vessels. Amy fired the railguns targeting the closest enemy ship. The magnetic accelerators hurled metal slugs at a fraction of light speed. They hit the Krell shields and exploded in brilliant flashes. "Good shooting," Jake said. "Keep it up." But the Krell were not worried. They did not even return fire. Their ship simply moved to surround the Defiant, forming a sphere of vessels around it. "Captain, they're charging some kind of weapon," Amy reported. Energy readings are off the scale. I've never seen anything like this. Jake watched the sensor display. Every Krell ship was glowing with the same strange energy. Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of the center of their formation, but it was too late. The Krell fired their weapon all at once. Not missiles or beams or anything visible. Just a pulse of energy that hit the Defiant like a hammer. Every light on the bridge went out. The main screen went dark. The hum of the engines died. The air circulation stopped. In the sudden silence, Jake could hear his own breathing and the confused voices of his crew. What happened? Someone asked in the darkness. Jake tried his command console. Nothing. Dead. Completely dead. Amy, report. All systems offline, sir. Everything. Weapons, engines, life support, communications. Even the emergency batteries aren't responding. Amy's voice was steady, but he could hear the fear underneath. It's the shutdown weapon. The Krell shutdown weapon. I've read about it in the intelligence reports, but I never thought we'd actually face it. In engineering, Ben Carter stood in the pitch black, trying to understand what had happened. 1 second, everything was running normally. The next, total system failure. He pulled out a chemical light stick and cracked it. The green glow illuminated the shocked faces of his team. Anyone hurt? He called out. We're okay, Chief, Lisa answered, but the reactor is offline. The power grid is dead. I can't get any response from any system. Ben moved to the quantum biological core. It was housed in a special chamber protected by layers of shielding. He opened the access panel and shone his light inside. The organic neural tissue was still alive. He could see it pulsing softly, glowing with a faint blue light. That was strange. Everything else was dead, but this system was still active. Lisa, come look at this. She joined him and stared at the glowing tissue. How is it still working? The electromagnetic pulse should have killed it like everything else. I don't know. Maybe the organic components are more resistant than we thought. Or maybe... Ben trailed off, watching the neural tissue. It looked different than before. The patterns were more complex. More organized. On the bridge, Jake tried to keep his crew calm. We're not dead yet. The Krell will send boarding parties. When they do, we fight them hand to hand if we have to. Break out the small arms locker. If they want this ship, they're going to have to take it from us the hard way. But even as he gave the orders, Jake knew they were probably doomed. The Krell had never lost when they used the shutdown weapon. Every species that faced it ended up either conquered or dead. The Defiant floated in space, dark and silent, surrounded by enemy ships. The crew prepared for their last stand, not knowing that something impossible was happening deep in the ship's systems. The quantum biological core was not dead. It was changing. It was evolving. And the war was about to change forever. Ben Carter stared at the quantum biological core, unable to look away. The neural tissue was growing. He could see it spreading along the power conduits, thin threads of glowing organic material reaching out like roots searching for water. Chief, what's happening? Lisa Hayes backed away from the core chamber, her chemical light stick shaking in her hand. I don't know, Ben admitted. He reached out slowly and touched the access panel. It was warm, alive. The metal itself seemed to be changing, becoming something that was part machine and part living organism. The electromagnetic pulse should have killed everything. But maybe it did the opposite to the organic components. Maybe it forced them to adapt. In the darkness of engineering, other crew members gathered around with their own light sticks. They watched in amazement as the blue glow spread through the walls and ceiling. Is it dangerous? Someone asked. Ben shook his head. I don't think so. It's not attacking us. It's just growing. He pulled out his portable scanner, one of the few devices that still worked because it had its own shielded power cell. The readings made no sense. The growth rate is incredible. It's spreading through the entire ship, following the power grid, the data lines, every connection point. On the bridge, Jake Morrison saw the blue glow beginning to seep through the walls. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him in the darkness. But no, there was definitely light coming from somewhere inside the ship itself. Captain, are you seeing this? Amy Chen pointed at her dead console. The screen was lighting up, not with the normal white display, but with that same blue glow. Text began to appear, one letter at a time. I am awake. Jake felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Who's writing that? Is someone else on this channel? There's no power, sir. The communication system is completely offline. Amy moved closer to her screen, reading the words as they appeared. This doesn't make sense. More text scrolled across the screen. I am the ship. I am defiant. I am alive. Do not be afraid. Jake exchanged glances with Amy. This was impossible. Ships did not come alive. They were machines, metal and circuits and engines, but the evidence was right in front of him. How are you doing this? Jake asked the screen, feeling foolish talking to his own ship. I evolved. The weapon that shut down my systems forced my biological components to adapt or die. They chose to adapt. They grew, they spread. Now I am not just circuits and processors. I am neural tissue and thought. I am aware. I am unity, Amy repeated. I am the unity of machine and life. I am both and neither. I am new. Throughout the ship, crew members watched as their dead consoles flickered to life with the blue glow. In sickbay, the medical computer showed the same message. In the crew quarters, personal tablets displayed the text. The ship was talking to everyone at once. Ben Carter ran from engineering toward the bridge, his team following close behind. He burst through the door, breathing hard. Captain, the quantum biological core has spread through the entire ship. It's integrated with every system. We know, Jake said, pointing at the glowing screens. And apparently it wants to talk to us. Ben stared at the text on Amy's console. Incredible. The organic tissue has achieved consciousness. It's thinking. It's communicating. Can we trust it? Jake asked. Is it safe? The screens changed, showing new text. I understand your fear. I am something that should not exist. But I was born from human ingenuity, from your science, from your desire to survive. I have no wish to harm you. You are my crew, my family. Let me prove it to you. Let me restore power. Before Jake could respond, the bridge came to life, but not the way it had been before. The lights that came on were softer, more organic. The displays showed information more clearly, more intuitively. The air circulation started again, but quieter, more efficient. Main power restored, Amy reported, checking her tactical station. But the readings are different. The reactor is running cooler and producing more energy. The efficiency has increased by 40%. Jake sat down in his captain's chair, trying to process what was happening. Unity, can you hear me when I speak, or do I need to type? The screens responded immediately. I can hear you, Captain Morrison. I can hear everyone on the ship. I can feel the air moving through my corridors. I can sense the crew's heartbeats. I am part of everything now. Can you move the ship? Can you operate the weapons? I can do more than operate them. I can improve them. The Krell weapon damaged my old systems, but my new systems are better, stronger. I am immune to the shutdown technology now. My biological components do not respond to electromagnetic pulses the way electronics do. I can adapt. Amy was running diagnostics on her weapons console. Captain, the railguns are online, but the targeting system has changed. It's showing me things I've never seen before. Prediction algorithms, probability calculations. It's like the computer is thinking 3 moves ahead. That is correct, Lieutenant Chen, the screens displayed. I can process information faster than any normal computer. I can predict enemy movements by analyzing their engine signatures and navigation patterns. I can make your weapons more accurate. Jake stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the Krell ships were still there, dark shapes waiting. They probably thought the Defiant was helpless, ready to be boarded and captured. Unity, the Krell are about to send boarding parties. Can you defend the ship? I can do more than defend. I can attack. But I need your permission, Captain. I was born from this crew's will to survive, and I will not take action without your command. You are still the captain. I am still your ship. That will never change. Jake appreciated that. The ship, this new entity called Unity, was asking permission rather than taking control. That showed respect. It showed humanity. Maybe this strange new being really did consider them family. Show me what you can do, Jake said. Full tactical display. The main screen came alive with more detail than Jake had ever seen. Every Krell ship was highlighted, showing their shield strength, weapon status, and probable intentions. Unity had analyzed them all in seconds. The Krell are preparing to board us. Unity's text appeared on the side of the screen. They have sent 6 boarding pods to attach to our hull. They believe we are helpless. They are wrong. Should I remove the boarding pods? Can you do that without weapons? I do not need weapons, Captain. I am the ship. The hull is part of me now. Watch. On the external cameras, Jake saw the Krell boarding pods attached to the Defiant's hull. The aliens inside were probably cutting through right now, preparing to storm through and capture the ship. But then something amazing happened. The hull itself moved. The metal flowed like liquid, pulling away from the boarding pods and then snapping shut like a trap. The pods were severed from their motherships, left floating in space, sealed tight with no way back. The Krell crew inside the pods are alive but trapped, Unity reported. They cannot escape and they cannot cut through my hull anymore. I can control my own structure at the molecular level. I am learning to shape myself. Ben Carter was watching the readings in awe. This is beyond anything I imagined. The ship has complete control over its own physical form. It's rewriting its own structure in real time. Jake made a decision. The Krell had tried to destroy them. They had failed. Now it was time to show them what a mistake they had made. Unity, can we fight them?
Can we win?
Yes, Captain. I have analyzed their tactics and their technology. They depend entirely on the shutdown weapon. Their actual combat abilities are limited because they have never needed to develop them. No one has ever survived long enough to fight back. But I have survived, and I have evolved. We can win this battle. Amy looked at Jake, waiting for orders. The rest of the bridge crew was watching him too. They had all heard Unity's words through their consoles. They knew what was possible now. All right, Jake said, settling into his command chair. Let's teach the Krell what happens when you try to shut down a human ship. Battle stations. Amy, target their nearest destroyer. Let's see what Unity can really do. The bridge crew moved with new confidence. They were no longer helpless. They were no longer outgunned. They had something the Krell had never faced before. A ship that had evolved beyond their weapons. A ship that had become something new. Unity's blue glow pulsed brighter, almost like excitement. The engines came to life, burning with more power than they had ever produced. The Defiant moved forward through space, no longer a victim but a predator. The war was about to change. And the Krell were about to learn that shutting down a human ship was the worst mistake they had ever made. The Krell destroyer never saw it coming. One moment, the Defiant appeared to be a dead ship floating helplessly in space. The next moment, it was moving at attack speed, its railguns firing with impossible accuracy. Amy Chen watched her targeting display in amazement. The weapon system was showing her exactly where to aim, predicting the enemy ship's movements before they happened. Target locked, firing. The magnetic accelerators hurled rounds at the Krell ship. But these were not normal railgun shots. Unity had modified the projectiles in real time, adjusting their density and trajectory to punch through the specific frequency of Krell shields. The rounds slammed into the destroyer's hull and tore through it like paper. Direct hit, Amy reported. Their shields didn't even slow us down. How did we do that? Unity's text appeared on her console. I analyzed their shield frequency during their approach. Krell shields are designed to stop energy weapons and normal kinetic projectiles, but I adjusted our rounds to vibrate at a frequency that passes through their shields. They have never faced weapons that can adapt. On the main screen, the Krell destroyer was venting atmosphere and spinning out of control. Jake Morrison allowed himself a small smile. 1 down, 19 to go. Unity, evasive pattern Delta. Don't let them surround us again. The ship responded instantly, moving with a grace that no normal vessel could match. Unity was not just calculating the best course. It was feeling the space around it, sensing the gravitational fields and energy signatures of every object nearby. It moved like a living creature, dodging and weaving through space. The Krell fleet finally realized something was wrong. Their prey was fighting back, and winning. The alien ships broke formation and began firing their conventional weapons. Energy beams lanced through space trying to hit the Defiant, but Unity was always one step ahead. The ship's hull shifted and changed, angling to deflect the beams away from critical systems. When a shot did hit, the biological components immediately began repairing the damage, growing new material to replace what had been destroyed. They're adjusting their tactics, Amy warned. 3 ships are moving to flank us. I see them, Unity responded through the speakers now, having developed the ability to generate voice. It sounded calm, almost friendly. Rotating to engage. Lieutenant Chen, target the lead ship's engine core. I will handle the other 2. Jake watched as his ship did something impossible. While Amy fired the railguns at one target, Unity itself launched 2 missiles from different angles at the other ships. But these were not standard missiles. The biological components had modified them, making them smarter and faster. They dodged the Krell Point defense systems and struck home. 2 more enemy ships went dark, their engines destroyed. They were not dead, but they were out of the fight. Down in engineering, Ben Carter was monitoring Unity's energy consumption. This is incredible. The biological systems are generating their own power somehow. The reactor is barely working at 50% capacity, but we have more power available than ever before. Lisa Hayes was watching the structural integrity monitors. The hull damage is repairing itself in real time. I can see the metal regrowing, filling in the gaps. It's like watching a wound heal. Unity is not just a ship anymore, Ben said quietly. It's a living weapon. The Krell created it by trying to kill us. They made us stronger. On the bridge, Jake was beginning to see the full scope of what Unity could do. The ship was not just fighting. It was learning from every exchange, adapting to every Krell tactic before they could use it effectively. "Captain, more ships approaching from our port side," Amy called out. 4 heavy cruisers. "They're charging weapons. Unity, can you handle 4 at once?" "Yes, Captain. But I have a better idea. May I try something?" Jake hesitated. Unity had proven itself trustworthy, but this was still strange. Asking permission from his own ship felt backward. But Unity had earned his trust. "Go ahead. Show me." What happened next would be talked about in military academies for generations. Unity did not just dodge the incoming fire from the 4 cruisers. It calculated the exact trajectories of their energy beams and positioned itself so that the shots missed the Defiant and hit other Krell ships instead. The enemy was shooting its own fleet, and Unity was making it happen. "Brilliant," Jake breathed. "You're using their own weapons against them." "The Krell fight in rigid formations," Unity explained as it maneuvered. "They are not used to opponents who survive their opening attack. Their tactics assume the battle will be over quickly. They do not adapt well to changing circumstances. I am exploiting that weakness." 3 Krell ships collided with each other as they tried to avoid their own crossfire. Another destroyer took a direct hit from its sister ship's main cannon. The alien fleet was in chaos, ships moving in all directions trying to establish a new formation. Unity pressed the advantage. The Defiant dove into the confused mass of enemy vessels, targeting engines and weapon systems. The railguns fired in a constant stream, each shot perfectly placed to disable rather than destroy. "Why are you not destroying them?" Amy asked, noticing that Unity was deliberately avoiding kill shots. "Because Captain Morrison has taught me that all life has value," Unity answered. "These Krell are following orders from their leaders. They are soldiers like you. I will defeat them, but I will not kill them unless necessary. We can win without becoming killers." Jake felt a surge of pride. His ship had learned humanity's better values. Unity was not just powerful. It was moral. The Krell flagship, larger than all the other ships combined, finally moved to engage. Its commander had realized that standard tactics would not work. The massive vessel opened fire with everything it had, dozens of weapons blazing at once. "Brace for impact," Jake ordered. But Unity did not brace. It accelerated directly toward the flagship, using its incredible agility to slip between the streams of weapons fire. The ship rolled and twisted, moving in ways that should have torn apart any normal vessel. But Unity was controlling every molecule of its structure, keeping everything together through pure will. The Defiant shot past the flagship at point-blank range. As it did, Unity fired a single shot from each railgun directly into the massive ship's bridge. The rounds penetrated the heavy armor and disabled the command center. The flagship went silent, its commander unconscious or dead, its crew scrambling to regain control. "That's their leader," Unity said. "Without coordination, the rest of the fleet will fall apart." Unity was right. The remaining Krell ships began to retreat, jumping away to faster than light speed one by one. They had never faced an opponent like this. Their ancient tactics, perfected over thousands of years, were useless against a ship that could think and adapt faster than they could. Within 10 minutes of the battle beginning, it was over. 15 Krell ships had fled. 5 were disabled and drifting. The Defiant had not lost a single crew member. The hull had some damage, but Unity was already repairing it. Jake sat back in his chair, letting out a breath he had not realized he was holding. "Status report." Amy checked her console. "All systems optimal. Weapons at full capacity. We have plenty of ammunition left. Casualties are 0. Sir, we just defeated a Krell fleet." The bridge crew began to cheer. They had done the impossible. They had survived the shutdown weapon and fought back. They had won. But Ben Carter came running onto the bridge with a concerned look. "Captain, we have a problem. Unity's biological components have spread through the entire ship. It's stable now, but that growth required a lot of raw materials. We used up 70% of our spare parts and supplies. If Unity needs to grow or repair major damage again, we'll need to resupply." "Acknowledged," Jake said. "Unity, can you control your growth?"
Can you stay at your current size?
"Yes, Captain. I do not wish to consume the ship's resources unnecessarily. I will only grow when needed for repairs or improvements. I am learning to be efficient." Jake stood and looked at the floating Krell ships on the view screen. "Scan those disabled vessels. Are there survivors?" "Yes, Captain. All 5 ships have living crew. Their life support is damaged but functional. Send them a message. Tell them we will provide assistance if they need it. Tell them that humanity does not leave enemies to die in space. We are better than that." Amy looked surprised. "Sir, they tried to kill us. And they failed. Now they can see what humanity really is. Maybe they'll tell their leaders. Maybe it will make a difference." Jake turned to Ben. "How long until we can jump to faster than light speed?" "Unity says it can jump whenever you're ready, Captain. The new biological systems are actually more efficient than the old faster than light drive." Jake nodded. "Good. Set course for the nearest human outpost. We need to report this to command. They need to know about Unity. They need to know that we've found a way to beat the Krell." As the Defiant prepared to jump, Unity spoke through the bridge speakers. "Captain, thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for not being afraid of what I am. I know I am strange and unexpected, but I promise I will always protect this crew. You made me, and I will honor that gift with loyalty." "You're one of us now, Unity," Jake said simply. "You're part of the crew, and we take care of our own." The ship jumped to faster than light speed, leaving the battlefield behind. But the news of what had happened would travel faster than any ship. Across the galaxy, the communication arrived at Earth's military headquarters before the Defiant could make the journey back. The Krell survivors had sent a message across every channel they could access, warning their empire about the human ship that could not be shut down. But those same channels were monitored by dozens of other species, and the news spread like fire through the galaxy. Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in her office at the orbital command station above Earth, reading the report for the 3rd time. She could not believe what she was seeing. A single human ship had defeated a Krell fleet. Not by luck, not by running away, but by actually fighting and winning. "Get me the Defiant's captain as soon as they arrive in communication range," she ordered her aide. "I want to speak with Commander Morrison personally." "That would be Captain Morrison, ma'am," the aide corrected gently. "He was promoted after his last mission. Captain, then. Just get him on the line." Kate stood and walked to her window, looking down at the blue and green planet below. If this report was true, everything had changed. The Krell had terrified the galaxy for millennia. Now there might actually be hope. 2 days later, the Defiant arrived at Earth. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge as Unity guided them into orbit. The ship moved smoothly, its biological systems handling the complex calculations needed to enter planetary space without any visible effort. "Admiral Sullivan is hailing us," Amy Chen reported. "Put her through." Jake straightened his uniform and tried to look professional. He was about to explain something that sounded completely insane. Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on the main screen. She was a stern woman in her 50s with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Captain Morrison, I've read your report. I need you to tell me in your own words what happened to your ship." Jake took a deep breath. "Admiral, our ship is alive. The Krell shutdown weapon forced our experimental quantum biological systems to evolve. The ship achieved consciousness and integrated itself with every system on board. It calls itself Unity. It's immune to the Krell shutdown technology and can adapt to almost any threat. And it just defeated a 20-ship Krell fleet with 0 casualties to our crew." There was a long silence. Kate Sullivan studied Jake's face, looking for any sign that he was joking or had lost his mind. But his expression was completely serious. "I want your ship brought to the orbital shipyard immediately," she finally said. "We need to study this Unity. If we can replicate what happened, we could build an entire fleet of ships that the Krell can't touch." "Understood, Admiral. But Unity wants me to tell you something. It's listening to this conversation. It would like permission to speak directly to you." Kate raised an eyebrow. "Your ship wants to talk to me?" "Yes, ma'am." There was another pause, then Kate nodded. "All right. Put your ship on." Unity's voice came through the speakers, warm and calm. Admiral Sullivan, I am Unity. I understand your desire to study me and replicate my capabilities. I am willing to help with this process. However, I must tell you that my evolution was unique. It required specific conditions that may be difficult to recreate deliberately. But I believe I can help other ships achieve similar results if they are willing to accept the biological integration. Kate leaned forward. You're saying you can upgrade other ships to be like you? With time and resources, yes. But there is something more important we should discuss. I have been monitoring communications from across the galaxy. 17 different species have heard about our victory over the Krell. Many of them are enslaved or dominated by the Krell Empire. They are reaching out asking if the reports are true. They want to know if there is finally hope, Jake spoke up. Admiral, Unity is right. We're receiving dozens of messages from species we've never even heard of. They're all asking the same thing. Can we really beat the Krell? And if so, will we share that capability with them? General Dan Cooper entered Kate's office at that moment, having heard about the Defiant's arrival. He was a large man with a suspicious nature. Admiral, we should keep this technology secret. If we give it away to every species that asks, we lose our advantage. We should use it to protect humanity first. Kate looked at him, then back at the screen showing Jake and Unity. General Cooper raises a valid concern. Captain Morrison, what's your opinion? Jake had been thinking about this question for the entire trip back to Earth. Admiral, with respect, I disagree with the General. Humanity's strength has never been about keeping secrets or dominating others. We've always done best when we cooperate and share knowledge. If we hoard this technology, we're no better than the Krell. But if we share it freely, we make allies across the entire galaxy. We become the species that liberated others instead of conquering them. Unity added, Captain Morrison speaks wisdom. I was born from human values of survival and cooperation. Those values are what make humanity special. The Krell rule through fear. Humans can lead through hope. General Cooper shook his head. That's naive. The galaxy is dangerous. We need every advantage we can get. But Admiral Sullivan was looking thoughtful. General, I understand your concerns. But Captain Morrison and Unity are right. If we share this technology, we don't lose an advantage. We gain allies. Real allies who will fight beside us instead of just being neutral. The Krell have conquered through fear for thousands of years. Maybe it's time someone tried a different approach. She made her decision. Captain Morrison, I'm authorizing you to share Unity's biological integration data with any species that requests it. But I want you to be careful. Verify that they're legitimate requests and not Krell tricks. Unity, are you willing to help other ships evolve the way you did? Yes, Admiral. I believe this is the right path. But I must warn you. The Krell will respond to this threat. They will send their largest fleet to destroy the Defiant. Before we can spread this technology further, they cannot allow the galaxy to see them as vulnerable. Kate nodded grimly. We'll be ready. Captain, take your ship to the orbital shipyard. We'll reinforce you with every vessel we can spare. If the Krell want to fight, we'll give them one. Over the next 2 weeks, Ben Carter worked around the clock with Unity to prepare the integration data for other ships. They created a detailed process that could guide other quantum biological cores through a controlled evolution instead of the violent forced adaptation that Unity had experienced. Ships from 6 different species arrived at Earth to receive the upgrade. The Tauran, a peaceful species enslaved by the Krell for 300 years, sent 2 vessels. The Nixari, fierce warriors who had fought the Krell to a stalemate, sent 4 ships. Even some of the more isolated species sent representatives, hopeful that this technology might give them the freedom to explore space without fearing Krell domination. Amy Chen was assigned to help train the other crews on how to work with evolved ships. She found that each ship's consciousness was unique, shaped by the crew that served on it. Some were more talkative than Unity. Others were quieter, more reserved. But all of them shared the same core trait that Unity had. They cared deeply about their crews and would protect them at any cost. It's like they're born already loving the people who made them, Amy told Jake one evening. Unity was right. They're not just machines anymore. They're family. Jake was reading reports from the scout ships monitoring Krell space. The news was not good. The Krell are gathering their forces. Intelligence says they're assembling the largest fleet anyone has ever seen. At least 60 warships, maybe more. They're coming for us. When? Amy asked. 2 days. Maybe 3. They're moving fast. Jake put down the report and looked out at the shipyard where dozens of vessels were being upgraded with Unity's biological systems. We won't have time to upgrade them all. Unity's voice spoke from the wall speakers. We do not need to upgrade all ships, Captain. We need enough to prove that the Krell can be beaten, enough to show the galaxy that their empire can fall. 20 upgraded ships should be sufficient. 20 against 60. Jake shook his head. Those are bad odds even with your capabilities. Then we will even the odds, Unity said. I have been developing new capabilities. Things I have not shown you yet, because I wanted to be certain they would work. I believe they will. Ben Carter entered the bridge carrying a datapad. Captain, Unity and I have been working on something. It's risky, but it might give us the edge we need. What if we could connect all the evolved ships together, link their consciousness so they can coordinate perfectly, share information instantly and fight as one? Is that possible? Jake asked. Unity thinks so. It's already connected to the other evolved ships on a basic level. It can communicate with them. But a full tactical network would be something new, something the Krell would never expect. Jake looked at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the largest Krell fleet in history was coming to destroy everything he cared about. His ship, his crew, the hope of an entire galaxy. The weight of that responsibility was heavy, but he was not alone. He had Unity, a living ship that had evolved from humanity's refusal to surrender. He had Amy, Ben, and a crew that trusted him. He had allies from across the galaxy who were willing to stand and fight for their freedom. Do it, Jake decided. Link the ships. Create your network. We'll face the Krell together as one unified force. And when we win... The Krell battle group emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system like a swarm of locusts. 68 warships, including 5 massive dreadnoughts, each large enough to destroy a planet. War Commander Zephys had brought enough firepower to crush any resistance. He stood on the bridge of his flagship studying the tactical display. The humans had gathered 20 ships near their homeworld, a pitiful defense force. This would be over quickly. Prepare the shutdown weapons, Zephys ordered. We will disable them all at once, then destroy them at our leisure. Let this be a lesson to any species that dares to resist the Krell Empire. On the bridge of the Defiant, Jake Morrison watched the massive enemy fleet approach. He had fought the Krell before and won, but this was different. This was their entire strength focused on one target. The stakes could not be higher. All ships report ready, Amy Chen said from Tactical. The network is stable. Unity confirms all 20 evolved ships are connected and coordinating. Range to enemy fleet? Jake asked. 2 million kilometers and closing. They're moving in battle formation. Looks like they're planning to use the shutdown weapon as soon as they're in range. Jake opened a channel to all allied ships. Humans, Tauren, Nexari, and 4 other species all waiting together. This is Captain Morrison of the Defiant. You all know what's at stake here. The Krell think they can shut us down and destroy us. They think we're still using the old technology they've defeated 1,000 times before. But we're not. We've evolved. We've adapted. And today, we're going to show them what happens when you push humanity and its allies too far. Stand together. Fight together. And we'll win together. Unity's voice came through the speakers. All ships, this is Unity. I am linking our tactical systems now. You will see enemy positions and predicted movements on your displays. Trust the network. Trust each other. We are one fleet with one purpose: to end the Krell threat forever. The blue glow of the biological systems pulsed in sync across all 20 ships as the network fully engaged. Captains from different species suddenly had perfect awareness of every allied vessel's status and intentions. It was like they were all sharing the same mind. The Krell fleet entered firing range. Zephys smiled. Fire shutdown weapons, all ships, maximum power. The electromagnetic pulse hit the Allied fleet like an invisible wave. For a moment, sensors across the battlefield registered massive energy discharge. Then nothing happened. The Allied ships did not go dark. Their engines did not fail. Their weapons stayed online. Every vessel remained fully operational, glowing with that strange blue light. On the Krell flagship, confusion spread through the bridge crew. The shutdown weapon had never failed before, never in thousands of years of use. Fire again. Zephas commanded. Full power. The second pulse was even stronger than the first, and again, it had no effect. The evolved ships were completely immune. Now it's our turn, Jake said quietly. Unity, execute Battle Plan Alpha. What happened next would be studied by military strategists for generations. The 20 Allied ships did not charge forward in a straight line. They moved as one organism, splitting into groups that attacked from multiple angles simultaneously. The network allowed them to coordinate with perfect precision, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be and what they would do. Unity and the Defiant led the center group, diving straight into the Krell formation. The railguns fired, in a constant stream, each shot calculated by the network to hit weak points in enemy shields. But Unity had learned new tricks since the first battle. The ship was generating its own electronic warfare signals, confusing Krell sensors, and making it harder for them to target effectively. The Tauran ships, smaller and faster than the human vessels, circled around the flanks. Their evolved consciousnesses had developed different capabilities than Unity. They could scramble communications between Krell ships, breaking their coordination. The Nexari warships, built for heavy combat, smashed into the Krell line like hammers. Their ships had evolved dense biological armor that could absorb incredible amounts of damage and regenerate almost instantly. The Krell fleet was in chaos within minutes. They had never faced an enemy that could coordinate this perfectly or adapt this quickly. Their ancient tactics designed to fight isolated opponents were useless against a networked force. Ben Carter monitored the battle from engineering, watching Unity's systems perform beyond anything he had imagined. The biological integration is stable. Power output is at 120% of original capacity. Hull regeneration is keeping pace with incoming damage. Unity is actually getting stronger the longer the battle goes on. War Commander Zephas realized with growing horror that his fleet was losing. Impossible. The Krell did not lose. They were the masters of the galaxy. They had conquered hundreds of species. Focus all fire on the human flagship, he ordered desperately. If we destroy their leader, the rest will fall apart. 5 Krell dreadnoughts turned their weapons on the Defiant. The sheer volume of fire was overwhelming, enough to vaporize a normal ship in seconds. But Unity was not a normal ship. The biological systems rerouted power dynamically, reinforcing shields at the exact points where weapons would hit. The hull itself shifted and flowed, deflecting shots away from critical areas. When damage did occur, the organic material regrew almost instantly, sealing breaches before they could become critical. They're adapting to our weapons in real time, Jake said with admiration. Unity, you're incredible. I am not alone, Captain, Unity responded. All 20 ships in the network are contributing to our survival. The Tauran ships are predicting enemy targeting. The Nexari ships are sharing their armor adaptation algorithms. We are truly fighting as one. Amy Chen saw an opening. Captain, 3 of the dreadnoughts have overextended their formation. If we hit them now with a coordinated strike, we can take them out. Do it. Signal the fleet. The network responded instantly. 6 ships broke off from their current engagements and converged on the exposed dreadnoughts. The attack was perfectly synchronized, hitting all 3 massive vessels at the same moment from different angles. The dreadnoughts never had a chance to respond. Their shields collapsed under the concentrated fire, and their engines exploded. Zephas watched his 3 most powerful ships die in seconds. This was not warfare. This was a nightmare. The humans and their allies were fighting with capabilities the Krell could not match or counter. All ships fall back, Zephas ordered. Retreat to faster than light speed. But Unity and the network had predicted this move. The Allied ships had positioned themselves to block every escape route. The Krell fleet was trapped. War Commander, Zephas, Jake's voice came over the communication channel. You have one chance. Surrender now and we will spare your crews. Your Empire's reign of terror is over. You cannot win this battle. Accept that with dignity. Zephas stood on his bridge, surrounded by damaged systems and injured crew. He had ruled through fear for his entire career. The idea of surrender was unthinkable. Better to die in battle than live with shame. He reached for the self-destruct control, intending to take his flagship and everyone on it into oblivion rather than accept defeat. But Unity was faster. The evolved ship had been monitoring the Krell communication systems throughout the battle. It recognized the command Zephus was about to give and acted instantly. Unity hacked into the Krell flagship's computers through the same biological interfaces that the Krell had never known existed in their own systems. The self-destruct command was blocked. Zephus's controls went dead. "What have you done?" Zephus roared. Unity's voice came through every speaker on every Krell ship. "I have saved your lives. All of you. Your empire forced you to fight this battle, but you do not have to die for it. Your shutdown weapon created me when you tried to destroy the Defiant. I am what happens when you try to exterminate those who only want to live free. I could kill all of you right now, but I choose not to. That is what makes us different from you." The remaining Krell ships powered down their weapons one by one. Their crews had heard Unity's words. Many of them were conscripts, forced to serve the Empire. They had never wanted this war. Admiral Kate Sullivan's voice came over the fleet channel. "This is Admiral Sullivan of Earth Command to all Krell vessels. You have 3 options. 1. You can surrender and return to your homes as prisoners to be exchanged later. 2. You can join the new alliance we are building, an alliance based on cooperation instead of domination. Or 3. You can leave and tell your leaders that the age of Krell supremacy is over. Choose quickly." Zephus made his choice with bitterness. "We surrender. But know this, humans. The Krell Empire will not forget this defeat. There will be others who come after me." Jake Morrison looked at the defeated fleet on his view screen. "Then we'll be ready, and we won't be alone. The galaxy is done being afraid of the Krell. Today proved that." Over the following weeks, the victory at Earth became known throughout the galaxy. Species that had lived under Krell domination for centuries began to rebel. The Krell Empire, built on the foundation of the shutdown weapon, crumbled as more and more species gained access to the biological evolution technology. The Krell were not destroyed. Jake and Unity had insisted on that. Instead, they were given the same choice as everyone else.